So I left a message at 9 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning, very early. Didn't hear back. So I called back at 3 in the afternoon. He answers. And I said, hey, I'm calling about such and such property. I have clients interested. We'd like to put an offer. I assume it's still available. And he said, nope, got an offer last night. It's now sold conditional. I'm just waiting on the deposit. So I said, well, why wouldn't you have called me to tell me there was an offer that came in? Because I had shown it before that offer came in. And he literally said, it is not my job to call and text everybody and tell them there's an offer. Word for word.
It is your fucking job, buddy. All right, here we go. Good morning and hello to episode 104 of KT Confidential, the real estate podcast. We are your hosts. I am Ariel Cremendi.
I am Adrian Trott. Good to be here. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining in.
Before we get into today's topic, thank you for listening. We appreciate your followership, your comments, and if you haven't done so,
proper term
followership. Sure, why not?
All right.
But on that note, if you're not following, please do. And if you've not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go and do that now. You can listen to this podcast anywhere you stream, and you can watch us on YouTube at ktconfidential.ca. Hit the subscribe button. You'll get notifications of any time we post a video. And we've got a lot of pretty cool content that's being discussed right now. So over the next few months, there's going to be lots of good stuff. Joanna, who recently joined our team and as our marketing manager now, has tons of fresh new ideas that we're going to be implementing. So make sure you subscribe now.
And being that everybody loves real estate, I know a lot of people have a hobby of just browsing real estate, see what's going on in the market. If you have any questions, drop a comment. Let us know, because we get a lot of DMs on Instagram, which we also often address on those platforms. But we'd also like to hear from you guys as to what questions you might have about real estate, buying, selling, renting, leasing, landlords, investments, whatever, staging, design. Drop in a comment and we'll address it on an upcoming podcast.
So today we're actually going to be talking about an issue that you had last week with assisting a buyer in purchasing a property.
Yes.
Actually, I'm just gonna veer real quickly because this morning I am drinking a Starbucks.
Hang on, just before you say anything, is this going to be another shout out turn not shout out?
Speaking of which, those weighted blankets I was talking about in the last episode, the new one came in from Hush Blankets. So maybe I should talk about that in the next podcast after I give it about a week. And I'll should have done an unboxing really, because it's pretty awesome packaging that they included with it. But yeah, I've got some feedback for those of you that have any interest. Actually, if you do have interest in weighted blankets, I've done a ton of research. I now have owned 3 different kinds. Drop me a DM and I'm happy to chat about it. But this morning I am drinking a flat white from Starbucks. We all woke up a little grumpy today and I said, okay, I think we need some sugar, some sweetness, some caffeine, although I don't have any sugar in mine. But I said, screw it, going to treat the family. I think I've had 1 Starbucks this year.
Yeah.
And that was on the way to the cottage one day. And as you know, my ritual to the cottage is usually stopping at McDonald's and getting a McMuffin and or whatever it's called.
Is that what
is it called a McMuffin?
I don't think so, but I think they should.
McMuffin. Yeah.
Oh, an egg McMuffin. I thought you meant a McMuffin, like a blueberry McMuffin. Because they do sell muffins now.
Right. Those are just called muffins.
No, I understand that, but a McMuffin is a muffin.
You can have a sausage McMuffin. You can have a
sausage egg McMuffin.
Well, you can have a plain sausage McMuffin. No egg.
Okay.
Anyway, so we did do a Starbucks stop. It was actually the first time that we had any kind of takeout whatsoever because we've been super, super cautious. And this was back in July. And since then, we haven't, or I haven't had any Starbucks. So this is my second Starbucks of the year. It's a flat white, which I quite enjoy. But the reason I'm mentioning it is yesterday I started doing a recap of our family budget. And that's something that I've been spending a lot of time and attention on over the last couple of years with our business, and variable incomes, variable expenses, fixed expenses, etc. And it's something that I'm trying to really nail down for the family. And when I was working on it yesterday, I said, holy smokes, how many of the tips that I took away from our money savings tip guide that have actually saved me a ton of money this year.
Interesting.
Like a ton of money. And takeout was right up there at the top of the list of where I cut back a lot of money. Obviously, with COVID and not feeling comfortable with takeout for the longest time. As you know, now I'll order the odd pizza and get it dropped at the door and reheat it when it comes in, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But still not ordering very much takeout. Whereas before, once a week, maybe I would go and grab a pizza or order Swiss Chalet or
we
grab
were much
a burger
the same
at McDonald's or whatever, right? But then you look at that over the week. So you do one night of takeout, you do a couple of coffees. So oftentimes we would go for a walk downtown Milton, stop somewhere, grab a coffee for our walk. And then, of course, the kids, they want a cookie or a hot chocolate, and you can't say no to that. So there's another, like this morning was $26 at Starbucks, right? You do that once a week, you're talking $1,500 a year.
Yeah.
And then your takeout once a week for a family of four, I don't know, that's $50-$60, right? Each time.
And I think it also results in eating healthier too.
Oh, sure it does.
When you avoid it,
sure
right?
It does.
So
preservatives, fat intake, sodium intake, sugar intake, all of those things. So anyways, I was really surprised when I was looking at it as to how much money I've actually been saving or spending elsewhere on different types of things rather than just throwing the money away. And so if you haven't downloaded the money savings tip guide, click on the link in our Instagram bio, and
we'll include it in the description here too.
Yeah, we can include it in the description. The other thing that I'll give it as a free giveaway in the podcast. So here's a bonus for those of you who are listening, and just a teaser of what you'll get in the money savings tip guide. I bought the kids iPads early this year, pre-COVID. And within a few days, the screens were completely obliterated. Like they stomped on them or something, but they were totally ruined. And thankfully, I got Apple Care for them. So just a couple of weeks ago, I took them to the Apple store, and they ended up replacing them with brand new iPads, which is great. But I didn't want the same thing to happen. And the cases that they had in the store were useless, right? Like they're soft cases, easily something that's going to ruin. The iPads would get ruined again. So I hopped online when I got home just a few days ago, and I went on to the OtterBox website. Without even thinking of it, I found their best cases that they had. And they're not cheap. They're $89.95 plus taxes, and that's US dollars. So you're talking about 120 delivered each. I ordered 3, one for each of the boys and one for Natalie. So it came to $282.33. I'm looking at the receipt right now. Without even thinking of it, I clicked go to checkout. But then my Honey app popped up and said, you could have potential savings. Click here to find out, or whatever the hell it says.
Yeah.
And I clicked on it and it found, you can't see it there, I don't think.
No.
But it found
Coupon
a
code,
working
probably.
it found a working coupon code, which was swag 10, and it saved me 10%.
Nice.
So it saved me $28.24 on that order. I wouldn't have thought about it. I didn't have the time. I just wanted to get it ordered, get it done. And I didn't even think about it. And it just popped up and it saved me $28. Boom, just like that.
And for those that aren't familiar, so this publication we put out, because a lot of it stems from clients and just chatting with people about the real estate industry, and people saying houses are unaffordable and they could never buy a house. They're stuck renting. They can't save enough money to get a deposit or a down payment. So we put together this catalog, or what are we calling it?
Guide.
It's a
guide. It's a money savings tip
We
guide.
put together this guide with...
And it's free.
37 tips on how to save or earn additional income with making very little impact on your current lifestyle. And I think, your proof is in the pudding. So that's a great example.
And I'm telling you right now, where we're going to see and have already seen the price of utilities, the price of commodities and things going up to, recoup lost costs, lost income, lost revenue.
Yep. Taxes are going to go up.
Everything's going to go up. Like you look at the cost of produce and meats, that's already gone up. Insurance has gone up. Hydro has gone up. Everything's gone up. So anyways, money savings tip guide, go to the link in our Instagram profile, click on there, and you'll see the free money savings tip guide link. And you just go there, you enter your name and email address. It'll give you the automatic download. It's free. It's friggin' awesome. And that money that I saved on my order with OtterBox is what paid essentially for my Starbucks for the entire family this morning. So there you go. There's ways to splurge, but to be cautious at the same time, or be mindful of your expenses at the same time.
And apps like that are a no-brainer, because who wouldn't want a 10% return on their money? That's excellent. And that's essentially what you just did,
and
right?
That's not correct. And that's not the first time that it has saved me money. And many times it's more than 10%.
Yeah.
So, and with everybody ordering things online, why would you not want to have an app cross-checking everything for you to see if there's any active coupons that will save you money? That is today's way of coupon clipping, right? That's the modern way. So that's just one of the 37 tips in the guide. Go there, download it now. On to
our topic of conversation.
Episode 104, KT Confidential. We are your hosts. I'm Ariel. He's Adrian Trott. If you haven't already subscribed or followed in the last few minutes, please go and do so. And I will let you introduce the topic, since you're the one that brought it up.
So there was two circumstances, and unfortunately they both occurred with the same client I'm working with. So it was frustrating. Even more so, it was compounded because it was twice with the same person. So first example was, we went to look at a house and they liked the house. So the next day,
by the way, here's the long explanation of the title of this podcast. What do you mean it's sold?
Right. What do you mean it's sold? An unfortunate frequent occurrence in our industry. So we looked at a house.
That's the subtitle right there.
Yeah.
You can write a book.
We went and looked at a house. Clients liked it. So I call the listing agent the next morning. Actually, this particular house was like a for sale by owner kind of brokerage. So I call the brokerage. They redirect me to the person that's handling, I guess they do geographic areas they cover or something. So I left a message with them. They called me back. They actually called me back in a few hours. Like, that's better than some people. So I was somewhat impressed with that. But nevertheless, The guy calls me back and he says, "Oh, the house sold conditionally." And I had no idea, not only that it was sold conditionally, but that there was an offer period. So, generally speaking, what happens, or our best practice at least, is as soon as an offer comes in on a property, um, first of all, our system that does all the appointment registrations automatically informs everyone that's been through. So, everybody gets an email. On top of that, we call, text, and or email everybody to ensure they got the email and to ensure that they are aware that there's an offer, because our job is to make sure that we get as much interest in a property to get the most ideal outcome for our client, which could be price, could be closing date, whatever, a combination of all the above. Anyways, I was never informed. The house was on the market for close to 2 months in a market where homes like that are selling very fast. So I imagine they had dozens and dozens of showings. So big miss. So my clients, unfortunately, were not able to buy it because we were not told about the offer. Anyways, fast forward a few days, found another house they were interested in. This one too was on the market for nowhere near as long, but about 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. We went and saw it. They like it. I call the agent. I left a message at 9:00, 8:30 in the morning, very early. Didn't hear back. So I called back at 3 in the afternoon. He answers. And I said, "Hey, I'm calling about such and such property. I have clients interested. We'd like to put an offer. I assume it's still available." And he said, "Nope, got an offer last night and it's now sold conditional. I'm just waiting on the deposit." So I said, "Well, why wouldn't you have called me to tell me there was an offer that came in? Because I had shown it before that offer came in." And he's like, and he literally said, "It is not my job to call and text everybody and tell them there's an offer." Word for word.
It is.
Exactly.
It is your fucking job, buddy.
So that was unbelievable. I mean,
Can you imagine being the seller
I know.
and finding out that the person representing you didn't do anything to try and garner more interest, more offers?
Right. So going back to the first example, that guy, when I said, "Well, why didn't you call me?" His excuse, which I hear a lot and drives me nuts, is, "Oh, our system's supposed to notify you," which first of all, it did not. But second of all, even if it did send an email, maybe it got stuck in my junk folder, or maybe I was busy all day and I hadn't had a chance to see my email in time to make a reasonable decision about whether or not we wanted to participate and send an offer. So I hate when people don't take responsibility and don't take the initiative to go out of their way and contact people, let alone this other guy that not only did he not have a system in place to notify people, he just didn't care. He was like, "Oh, I got an offer. I've been on the market for 3 weeks. I just want to get this off my back, move on to the next deal." So what I'm waiting for, and it would not surprise me, is if he represented the buyer, because we see that a lot. Multiple representation causes people to do bad things in some cases. So it'll be interesting to see once the deal firms up who the buyer's agent was.
Well, be careful when you say multiple representation, because the definition of multiple representation is the same brokerage.
Okay. So,
I don't know, but,
right,
for the mass audience that isn't a realtor that listens to the podcast or watches us,
yes, to clarify.
Yeah, multiple representation is defined by the same brokerage representing both parties, the seller and the buyer. So
that's right.
In our case,
what I'm referring to is the same agent.
Let me finish. So multiple representation can be anybody from the brokerage representing one party, and then somebody else from the same brokerage representing the other party. So in this case, like on our team, and there is a slang term which is called double ending, which means basically you, Adrian, are the listing agent, and now you, Adrian, also are representing the buyer. And in our belief, that brings up a little bit of a conflict of interest. And that's what you're referring to.
Well, not a little bit. I think it's a big conflict of interest. But yeah, so the media too. I mean, they've talked, especially in the past, has got a lot of attention. And so when the media talks about multiple representation, they're generally referring to one person representing multiple parties in a transaction.
It's funny that you mentioned this, because the last two or three transactions that I was the actual listing agent on, and I typically have a very, very open communication style with our sellers, because they have questions all the time, right? Whether it's 6 o'clock in the morning or 12 o'clock at night, we'll get random text messages that say, "Hey, what about this?" or "Hey, did you see this?" or whatever. And that's fine. And I got a little agitated a couple of weeks ago, because one of them at, I don't know, it was like 9 o'clock at night. I'd been working now a 13, 14-hour day. And here I am navigating through 3 or 4 offers on their property and trying to get it sold that evening. I was already in my jammies. I had a glass of wine. I was snacking on some potato chips. Life was good. And negotiating these deals, sitting in my office late at night. Well, doesn't he have the nerve of asking me, "Did you let everybody know that there is an offer?" And
Your client
my
did.
client asked me.
Kudos to them, though.
So that's my point right now. Is I got agitated in the beginning, thinking, like, my initial reaction, and of course I didn't say this to them, was, of course I fucking called them. Like, just let me do my job, right?
You must watch our podcast.
But then, actually, he does religiously. But then I'm like, you know what? Good for him double checking, because you're paying me a lot of money to do it. And there are a lot of shortcuts out there, and a lot of experiences where, like your experience now, where the seller could be having to hold somebody accountable to doing their job. We happen not to be in that category, but so so now I give that person a round of applause for just double checking. But I'm pretty sure that person had some not so good experiences in the past. And now, after experiencing having a good experience with our team, I don't think I'll be double checked in future transactions with them. But
no.
But then,
if it's the one I'm thinking of, I think you end up doing quite well with that one. So I think they're very pleased.
Yeah. So, you have to, as a consumer, you just have to be aware of what's transpiring. Because, well, what was the price of those homes?
1 million and 1.1. Lots of money.
You're talking about $1 million investment. It's not just your home, which, by the way, if it's your home, you love it, you care for it most of the time. You've lived there, your family has grown up there, whatever. You have a sentimental attachment to it, but it's also your biggest damn investment in your life. It's $1 million. And how dare somebody represent $1 million transaction and not get every penny possible?
Well, and I wrote a blog a while back. I think it was actually maybe 2 years ago, a long time ago.
Put a link to it in this description.
I will. And the premise of it was an example of a deal that we had done at the time where we were representing the seller. And this house had been in the market for about 30 days or so. And we had I think we had like 60 people through just booked appointments. Plus we had held probably 4 or 5 open houses and had a lot of people come through there and sign up as well.
Was that a property in Mississauga? I think I remember. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, it was in Meadowvale. So we get an offer in, and this particular offer, I think it was about $100,000 under the asking price, somewhere in that range. So everybody's notified. I went out of my way. I called. I texted every single one of these 60 showings, each of those agents, plus people that came through open houses. We were able to get multiple offers. And instead of having that one offer for $100,000 under asking, we ended up almost 40,000 over asking. So $140,000 spread. Whereas somebody that didn't take that initiative maybe tried to go back and forth a little bit with the first offer, maybe ended up, I don't know, somewhere under the asking price. But you're talking about, even with good negotiating on that offer, probably $50,000-$60,000 spread. It's just crazy.
As a licensed realtor in the province of Ontario, it is your fiduciary obligation to contact and let anybody know that has or expressed interest in the property in any capacity, in order to ensure you are representing your client, the seller, in the best capacity you possibly can. And by not contacting any interested parties, and when I'm saying interested, you show up to an open house, you're interested. You DM the realtor asking how many square feet is it, potentially you're interested. So you got to put it out there to everybody that's expressed interest that yes, there is an offer now on the property. So if you are interested and would like to make an offer on it as well, now is the time to do it, because we are reviewing this offer at X time on X day, and we're going to give you that opportunity now.
Even to the point where with us, you've got open houses, you've got showings, and now in this day and age, you've got online inquiries, right? Social media inquiries. We get people, often dozens of people. I mean, one of the last ones we did, which was your listing, I think we had like 70 people register for updates on that particular home. So they'd provided us their email, their phone number, their name, and expressed interest specifically in getting more information about that property. So as soon as an offer comes in, not only are all the real estate agents informed, all those people are informed. Because the last thing you want is for you to sell the house that night, and then 2 days later, one of those people inquires and says, "Hey, sorry, I got busy. I was wondering if this home's still available. I'd love to come see it. It looks perfect." Right? "Oh, no, sorry. It's sold 2 days ago."
Wow. And that happens regardless, because,
Yes.
the old adage, you always want what you can't have. So sometimes people are on the fence and they go, "Oh, but I wanted an upstairs laundry. It's too bad. The rest of the home is perfect." And
Yes.
then 2 days later they go, "Okay, let's put an offer." Well, it's gone. Sorry.
Yeah. But if at least giving them that opportunity to make an informed decision, right?
Yes.
So, and sometimes, especially if a home's been on the market for a little while, there's a lot of people that might just be sitting on the fence and kind of twiddling their thumbs and not, being very indecisive.
Well, and I think that happens a lot more frequently than people realize. And one thing that I always do with any buyers that I'm working in that scenario, that, the home's been on the market, let's say, for a month. And a month is not that long. It's higher than average now, but it's not that much longer than average. So the home has been sitting on the market for a month, and they say, "Okay, well, let's put an offer. It's been on the market for a month. It's listed at $1 million. Let's go in at 900 and try and talk them down to whatever. We'll be happy at 950." And that's fine as an initial offer. But what I always say is, don't be surprised if you end up competing against other offers once our offer is registered. Because now, if that realtor does their job, they're notifying anybody that has expressed interest and shown the property. And to your point, somebody might be on the fence and saw the property a couple of weeks ago. Nothing else has come up on the market. We don't know what their situation is. Maybe they've already sold their home, or maybe they've been evicted from their property for whatever reason that they were renting, and they need to make a move. And maybe that's the push that they need, right? So they get this notification, and they go, "Oh, well, there's another offer. I don't really want to lose this because there's nothing else on the market. Okay, let's put an offer in as well." And then all of a sudden, to your example of that property in Meadowvale, all of a sudden you end up with multiple offers and people going, "Well, I'll go as high as $1,040,000 or $1,050,000, and and now you've got a bidding war on a home that's been on the market for 30 days. So that happens, and that happens more often than people recognize.
That's right. So, I mean, that's really all I think it's an important conversation. And I think the biggest thing here, I think one of my goals is always in doing what we do with being very public with our podcast and being active on social, is just trying to raise the public's awareness of what sort of expectations to have of the level of service they should be getting from real estate agents. So I challenge people, make sure, do what your client did. Ask the real estate agent before you make a decision, have you contacted everybody? Does everybody know there's an offer?
It's funny too, because typically my process is I send the sellers a text message with a breakdown. I say, okay, I've got this offer, and here's what I'm now doing for the balance of the day, which includes informing anybody that has seen the property, blah, 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 blah. But because this home, it literally was listed 12 hours, not even, it was like 6 hours prior to the first offer coming in. I didn't have time, right? Like I didn't have time to do anything. I was just trying to scurry and get as many offers as I can that quickly and get the price as high as I could that quickly. So anyway, you got to do your due diligence. And a lot of times I think when you're hiring a professional, whether it's a dentist, a lawyer, an accountant, a realtor, quote unquote professional, correct. There's going to be warning signs, I think, early in the process, like if their emails are, if it takes them
gmail.com.
at bob@gmail.com. Like, come on, invest the $20 and get yourself a proper identity for your email.
Right. I think one of the other problems too is people, when they do hire professionals, they assume they are professional and they trust.
Right. Oh, you're a licensed realtor, and that's it.
Right. They don't even question their ethics and abilities.
You're a dentist. You're paying $10,000 a month rent for that prime plaza location, and there's a big sign that says dentist, and there's a plaque on the wall that you went to school. That's
right.
Great.
That's right.
That's great. You must do a good job.
Not all of us are alike.
Well, it's just like how many people complain about doctors, right? Like, oh, I got to find a good doctor, right?
Yeah,
well, you got to find a good realtor too.
Absolutely.
And good realtors don't come cheap. Good realtors are not going to be the cheapest. So you get what you pay for in life, folks. And I guarantee you, those two examples that you gave where there was for sure money left on the table, and but they probably saved money on commission. The question is, where did they lose money? Because there's probably a good chance that
I've monitored that over the years, and just kind of looked at how the transactions ended up, and I find that at a minimum, in most cases, it would have been the same, but they would have probably had a much easier process and much quicker.
Much like the home would have sold quicker and easier. That's what you're saying. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. At a minimum, if not more money in your pocket.
Well, for sure, more money. I mean, you look at, and I don't want to speak for other teams or other realtors, but I look at our presentation of the listing, and you look at 23 Macaulay Drive. Okay. Yeah. And again, it sold in a day, over asking, but forget the over asking part. It sold for $1,665,000. The most recent comparable home sold firm 3 days prior to us going on the market. I was waiting to find out how much that home sold for. It sold for $100 over asking.
1.4, something like that.
$1,480,000. It was listed at $1,479,900, and it sold for $1,480,000. We were listed for $649,990, and it sold for $1,665,000 firm, no conditions. That house, 4 doors down, so it sold for $185 for whatever, almost $200,000 less. It was 500 square feet bigger on the above grade floors, plus had a finished walk-out basement. Ours was unfinished and not a walkout, and 500 square feet smaller above grade. And it's sold for $200K more than the bigger house.
Oh, and this is the one where
I had 3 calls from people on that street, other owners. And
yes.
2 of them.
That's how you know you did a good job.
2 of them called me specifically to say, how did you sell it for so much money? How did you do it? Because it was a record breaker for the neighborhood.
A lot of that one was that was what I was referring to when I was talking about all the preliminary registrations we had, upwards of like 80 or something stupid like that. So that one was, I think, due heavily in part due to the
online
preliminary
marketing.
Coming soon ads that we did, for
online,
sure.
Online marketing. And then people registered for the VIP registry, which gives them access to e-brochures, floor plans, advanced price notifications, a designated KT realtor to answer any questions. They went on there, they registered. So we had about 70 on there. We had over 30,000 clicks of the photo album on Facebook alone. And within hours, and I mean, we're talking 2 or 3 hours of it being listed on the MLS. We had 6 showings. We had 11 showings that day and 3 offers by the following morning. And we wrapped up the deal within a couple of hours that morning. So, you know, you do things right, and it pays dividends. You hire the right people, pays dividends. So anyways, a little off topic, but I just thought I'd throw it in there. This was
it's all relevant
because
that's what happens when you do it properly, like these people should have. That's what happens.
AT Confidential, the real estate podcast. Thank you for listening. Again, go to our Instagram profile at Cormendi Trot. Click on the link in there. Lots of good stuff, but it also includes the free money savings tip guide. If you haven't downloaded it, it is a free download and it's a must read. If you did download it, I encourage you to go back and reread it, because there's a lot of things now as we're coming through COVID or into the second wave or out of the second wave, whatever. 6 months later, after it was first published, go back and reread it and see if you have saved any money, or if you haven't. We'd love to hear your feedback if you did download it. And we're going to throw some links in the description, Adrian, for a past blog. And
we'll make sure that's in there.
Go ahead and subscribe. ktconfidential.ca on YouTube. Subscribe and follow us wherever you are listening to this podcast. Thank you very much. We love you. Have a great week. And
good chatting with you, partner. Have a good day.
You have a good day. Bye-bye.